coordination. Now, that's a different word than integration, and that's because it's something that falls short of integration. All the parts are not back together again as a whole, but this was how do we make these different POs work together? The first attempt was, that I'm aware of, was what was called FIRM, Forum for Integrated Resource Management, in 1996. And it was actually out of a organized farmers union, Grootbag, and it was especially because there were 4 different projects in the same area, and I point involved the conservancy there. So that was one of the first ones. The next one, not surprisingly, right after the first conservancy, community forests were established in 2006, the very next year, Forestry, and let me commend Forestry, was really pushing on integration. And we had meetings in 2007, 2010. We had a big workshop in 2015, just talking about how to coordinate or work towards integration of conservancies and community forests. And some of the people that were sitting up here on the first day were wearing different hats or different positions at that time, but they've been involved in a lot of those meetings. And then we've had the fisheries reserves. Those we have conservancies assisting in the management of those reserves. Okay, I'm being tested again. Almost. I've got a heavy thumb. Okay, I think that will do. Challenges to coordination. The challenges are really that each of these different natural resources is managed or enabled by a different law. So different ministries have come up with different legislation, or even the Forest Act came out in 2001, and the NCO Amendment Act 1996. Those 2 directorates were in the same ministry, but came up with 2 different acts that really didn't coordinate that way. What does that mean? Those different legal entities, community forests, conservancies, have different committees, and it's difficult. The idea was, oh, you just elect the same committee, but you can't, because the definition of membership, that's the most serious one in this case, is different. But aside from that, there have been, in the act or the regulations, the term of office is different. The number of office bearers is different. The educational level of the office bearers is different. And it just makes it more and more difficult and somewhat incompatible. So we have at the bottom of that slide, separate and somewhat incompatible CBN RMCBOs. What's the problem? Okay, we have separated the natural resources from each other. When you have a community, they look out in front of themselves, they see rangeland, they see plants, they see water, they see wildlife, they see forests. They don't see these things separated. They see them all together. And it was an unintended consequence of the history of Namibia, because of the apartheid and the fact that before independence, freehold farmers were given rights, but the communal farmers didn't have those rights. As soon as independence came, there was understandably a big push. Let's give them communal farmers' rights, powers, and let's protect those. So they made legislation for this one, for this one, for this one. The unintended consequence was not realizing that the more detail that those acts or regulations uh, went into, it made it harder to that idea, oh, there'll just be one committee, a committee that wears different hats. So now there's no single institution in that community that can manage all of those natural resources. And at the bottom, I think we need a solution before more separate laws and more CBOs are created. Although we want more CBOs or uh, CBNRM expanded to other natural resources, we will have more resistance to get to the solution I am proposing, the more different legislation there is. Currently, this is just a conceptual model. Currently, what we have is on the top, we have different ministries represented by different colors, or when that, yeah, okay. MEFT appears twice, but once is for wildlife, once is for forestry. And you have different laws, the Nature Conservation Ordinance for wildlife, Forest Act for community forests, Inland Fisheries Resources Act for fish reserves. And sorry, you've thrown me off. Um, and there could be others. And I think we're going to get others, and that's what I'm worried about. Each of these have created a separate legal entity, Conservancy Community Forest Fish Reserve. Okay, 3 separate ones. But trying to bring them together, I'm just trying to represent, it looks rather neat at the bottom. At least they all fit within the same square, but they don't fill out completely, but it presents a problem. What legal entity is this? This isn't a legal entity, it's 3 legal entities. Who controls this? 3 different laws, it might be 2 different ministries. Say again?
You need to go forward now.
Yes, I see. What we want to do is we want to get rid of 3 separate legal entities. What's the solution? It's integration. And that means recombining into one whole. How do we do that? Quite simply at the community level. It's easier than you might think, but you need a vision, an idea. What are we heading towards? Now, I didn't dream this up and I wasn't smoking anything. It's from 8 years of working with this other option. Okay, blank slate, open community. This is what you want. Is there's only one legal entity for all natural resource CBNRM, and that is the community, most of whom are sitting not in the first 2 rows, back here. They're at the top. We still have different ministries, We still have different acts. One of my younger colleagues showed me how to do animations. I got carried away, forgive me. I'm celebrating something that I learned. But the key thing to look at now are these arrows going from the NCO up to the community legal entity. So instead of going to 3 different legal entities, they're all going to just that one. This is conceptual. That is the important thing. And integration is at the community level, it's by the community, and it's for the community. And this theme of community being at the center has come up in several of the presentations now. This is one that can help us do that. And I might add that having one legal entity, a community legal entity, makes sharing of income easier. That's another issue that's come up. But the ministries do not lose power. They still set harvest levels, quota levels. Okay, now I'm going to way forward. By the way, the legal entity is an association, which again, previous speakers have already mentioned. We work with associations all the time. We've been talking about them, Topnar, Bobuata, I'm leaving some out, but they're there and they're under Namibian common law, which has always been there. It's there now. We don't need to create a new law to make an association, but we've got some other things to our advantage already in place. This is from a media release from Cabinet Chambers. I didn't make this one up either. So according to that media release, the Cabinet decided, and let's look at the green highlights, that they wanted to give decision-making and management authority to resource users at local level. They were saying they wanted to expand CBNRM to other natural resources. And the last paragraph, they actually asked for an inclusive and integrated policy framework. They're saying, give us an integrated policy framework. What we did do already in place, the National Community CBNRM Resources Policy of 2013, a really good policy. Kudos to the ministry. It uses some, I call it sufficiently vague language that you could see that, okay, you can apply this to more than conservancies. This was written when conservancies only were in MEFT, MET, but it's now rather old, and I think it makes such a good basis that it could be expanded and updated so that it explicitly applies to other additional natural resources. This 2013 policy is signed by the minister of MEFT. It's not signed by at a cabinet level or something broader. We do have experience with association. And here's the second thing that you really need. The first one being an updated, expanded policy. The second thing is basic eligibility requirements for community legal entities. That is, we need to get in the policy, in the new expanded policy, a list of approximately 5 basic requirements that all different CBNRM CBOs need to follow. But no details, folks. This is the key. Don't get bogged down in the details. Elected committee that represents all lawful residents. That's like the Forest Act. A constitution. The Constitution requires elections, AGM, annual financial statement, benefit distribution plan. Don't go into detail. Just put it there. Don't say how long the term of office is. Doesn't matter. Just within a certain range. Sustainable use NRM plans approved by government. Government doesn't lose control. Quotas and harvest levels approved by government. Annual harvest reports, annual monitoring has to be done to the ministry and to the AGMs. These things are pretty much in place. Okay, almost. So, way forward. Really 2 steps. Guiding the way. By guiding, I mean for MEFT to identify what's the process. There are people here that know far better than me. If we want a multi-ministerial policy, how to begin that, what the protocol is for that. But for MEFT to identify that process that's going to involve the other important ministries and stakeholders in developing that updated and expanded national integrated CBNRM policy. And the second step is part of the policy, but developing those 5 simple, not detailed, basic eligibility requirements. And I would also say by making 5 simple, basic eligibility requirements, government is making life easier for themselves. The role of government generally is to set policy objectives, big goals that government wants. That's a government role. Then, if to achieve that objective, you need new or amended legislation, they write the legislation. Then they make some rules just so there isn't confusion on step 1, step 2. That's not excessive control. It's just sufficient to get things going. That's regulations. And the 4th thing would be monitoring. But all government needs to do, if someone is not in compliance, you don't need to go and do investigations, forensic investigations of where did the money go or what to what. Just make it simple and an administrative policy that says, okay, I'm making this up. If more than $10,000 of unaccounted for funds happens 2 years in a row, you suspend the rights. Doesn't mean you have to de-gazette them, but you suspend them. Or you say something like, if you haven't had an AGM for 2 years running, your rights are suspended. Make it simple. Don't try to make it hard on yourself. And you will find people will comply. You just need to enforce those very simple things. So with that, thank you.
It's good within my minutes. So thank you, John. We did not actually give him an applause when he walked on because all of us were not here. Thank you. So can I ask Francis? I think Dawn is not around. So let's quickly just do the questions and clarity and comments issue. So if there's any question on hydrogen, if you see Dawn on the street, okay, so I think maybe we will just park those ones. If he comes, then we will see how we are going to deal with that. But for now, is he outside?
Yeah, he's on a Zoom.
Oh, he's on a Zoom meeting. Okay, good. So let's start. I will start on this side. So we started very much, remember we dealt with the other questions. Huh? So we are just dealing with the Francis presentation and John's presentation and Don's presentation. So those are the ones that we are dealing with. Okay. Let's stick to our guidelines, the guidelines. No history, no nothing. Just get to the point, especially during this time of the day. Okay. On this side, let's show hands. Last section on this side. I like lunch. After lunch, there is no hands. That's interesting. Going once, I see one hand. Going twice, and that's it. I have one hand. So, Kenneth, you have the floor. Where's the microphones, please? The microphones. Are they called microphones? Yeah. I was wondering, like, rolling microphones. Okay, Kenneth, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you. Maybe just something for John. Maybe a comment or is it a question? I just wanted to understand around currently as it is, the conservancies or any associations, are they legal entities? Meaning that if they were to want to actually go and access funding elsewhere, go to the bank, can they be seen as an entity? The reason I'm asking this is we had the challenge where we wanted to access funds. And one of those questions came up and we couldn't be seen as one. We had to go through one of our partners actually to access funds. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go to the second here in the middle. Can you please show some hands? One, I see doctor, I see Didi, it's one. Any more hands? We will do presentations just after lunch. This is how we are going to manage time. Eh? Yeah.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Nyambe?
Yeah, no, mine relates to the presentation by, how can I forget your name?
Francis.
Francis. It's because of lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Beg your pardon. Yeah, by Francis. The question of bioprospecting. I don't know the Namibian legislation well, but I did not see anything suggesting that bioprospecting was prioritized. In the same way that we mine, or we prospect for minerals, I think we need to invest more resources in prospecting for our bioresources, because only when we know them can we also protect them and own them the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. Didi, yeah.
Yeah, mine is a proposal on Don's presentation. I think he spoke about green hydrogen, but the subject on his presentation was going to touch on other socio-economic opportunities. There's this issue of carbon trading. I want to propose that maybe we come up with guidelines on how we handle this thing called carbon trading in community forests and conservancies. Yeah.
Maybe all the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, when he comes in, then we will probably allow him to say something. So no hands on this side. Let me go to this side. This is normally the exciting side. Can you see there? No. But don't repeat. Okay? So we can start in front here. Yeah, thank you. Maybe that one is dead.
Thank you very much. Francis, mine is just with regard to the succulents that are found in the biodiversity of owls, lutrets. Those areas are very sensitive, but because of the lack of awareness, we had a program with SCEP, and that was initially just based on protecting those species. Can we maybe find a solution with regards to how we can raise more awareness, how we can bring in funding to protect those species so that we ensure that our children and after children will get that?
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I am Chief Charles Ira from Swartwood Traditional Authority, Franz Fontaine. Mine is two questions on utilization of forestry products, natural resource. Actually, my question is not to Madam Frances. My question is directed to the director. Natural product dry wood harvesting for commercial purpose. Dry wood production was stopped in many regions, especially Kunene region. My question is, why was it stopped? Can it not be allowed to start again? For it is one of the resource that from which people are benefiting. My second question is, why is charcoal production only on commercial farms and not in communal land? I thank you.
Thank you. So that's for Director Ntogoshan, eh? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Director. When I listened to most of the presentations, there has been an element of coordination and different players to create synergies in making sure that CBNRM program is really meaningful to its ultimate beneficiaries. And this morning it was echoed that regional governance plays an effective or recognition and plays therefore effective role in even at regional coordination. Namibia came up with a Decentralization Enabling Act. Now I'm calling on this conference to reactivate dialogue on this particular act to make it happen. It has been tried in some regions and it was possible. And I'm emphasizing this because there are a number of issues coming out. Now, regional governance, for it to be an effective coordinating structure, may also need institutional capacity or strengthening. And I really want this conference also to take note of that. As much as we are concerned about the institutional capacities of the CMCs or at the communal conservancy levels, that institutional capacity should it's noteworthy, including the traditional authorities that are closest to the community. Its institutional capacity also needs to be considered for effective and efficient delivery of such
services.
programs.
Mm.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sabe. There was a few hands at the back. Yep, I can see you. I can see you. You can go.
Okay, thank you. I'm Davandura Erastus from Shiashushona Conservancy. I just want to thank Namibia Nature Foundation for protecting our biodiversity. My question is just, it's not a question, but it's just a proposal. I just want to ask if is it not possible for us to put our indigenous prints on quota utilization for our forest product, as this can also contribute to our income generations for the conservancy and to our community, in also to assist our forest when it's come to wildfire.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Next. So she was talking about Damandula, you were talking about getting a quota for forest. Quota utilization. Forest products. I think it's both for the director and you, Francis. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, thank you for the floor.
Mm.
It's Johannes Ngunde from Bayo Community Forest. Yeah, my question is just going to our minister on behalf of the illegal fencing within our community forest.
Mhm.
Yeah, we are not getting any product or any income which is going to give us something, since our community, they have difficulty with those illegal fencing.
Mm.
How are we going to manage with these issues?
Mm. Which community forest is this one?
Mbeyo and
Beo.
Amagoro.
Okay, yeah, Beo and
Yeah.
Amadoro. Okay, so
Yes.
it's okay. So this is to the director because the minister is not yet here. Yeah. Next. E.
Good afternoon, colleagues.
Afternoon.
My name is Heinrich Swartboy.
Mhm.
I'm representing Klamasep Conservancy in the Far South.
Mhm.
Madam Director, I've actually, my question and submission is actually in two parts, but I think the director can also come in there and Mr. Don. Mine is actually for us in the Far South. You know, we were awarded a concession some time back. Now, what we are asking is actually submitting, and actually it's a plea also, with this, emerging economic opportunities. We have decided to, let's strategize this thing, otherwise, and see oil and gas related to the Orange Basin. And then in that way, can we have a look at our park? Our park is stretching the one for ice Richtersveld. So actually, what I'm proposing, what I'm actually submitting is MEFT. Can you have again, and can you reconsider our concession? Because with this emerging and developing, economic opportunities, I think with the submissions that we did in the past, we want to include all those tourism activities, and then stretching up to the Orange River.
Mm.
The second one was actually
We are not allowed to have second ones, but because I allowed somebody here,
Yeah,
this is the last one. I'm not going to allow after this one
yeah,
again.
it's actually not a second one, but yeah,
Mm.
that one was in totality the submission
Yeah.
to look at us at the Karas region.
Mhm.
That I saw the worrying, whenever the slide was up, Karas is zero, marked up. So in it itself, for MEFT to look again to our case.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the director will also answer that when she's here. I think I'm the one who made the mistake. He had his hand on and I missed him on the concessions. We are done, eh? Mango Kupura. No, this is not for concessions. Do you want to? I want the people that had their hands up so that we can talk. This is not on concessions. It's just because we missed him at the time when the concessions were discussed. You are the last person, Mosne. Okay, then we are done. You have 100 questions.
Yeah, Iskauta Otudemba Conservancy Chairperson. I appreciate your time, Maxi, that you have given us. As I have said yesterday, when it comes to the program as I can see it here, we were talking about the green scheme. And from the very beginning, as an illiterate person, I said, it's always good for somebody like me or an ordinary Himba from Kunene to have a document in front of you. These things are actually on the screen, but they are going very fast. Those slides are going very fast. Even if you want to develop a question, you might not find it on the screen. But the presenters that were here in front of us, they are almost up to 10 people. And if somebody said, can we have something like a hard copy in front of us so that we can make proper questions? We were not heard yesterday and until today. Now, I am just trying to be very short and give you a chance to the seniors. I appreciate the invitations that we've been invited here. But I will want to emphasize my time of coming to Windhoek here and deliver it to the house and say it. I appreciate it, but the running of this program, the way it was set up, the way it is, to myself, I'm completely not happy with it. Because the bill that those people are talking about, we have it, we have it. But if somebody is just reading for what he thinks, it's good for him to read or for the people to hear. But there are some closures in this bill. There are some closures in this bill. If you read it, that will disadvantage the community, the conservancy at large. And mind my word, I will look so small as I am. But if you pass this bill, not to Kunene, we will sit with Kunene people and we will decassette all the conservancies. No matter whether we are living with hunger, we stood with that hunger since our childhood until today. We can go and strive. Because the way I see it, we've been called here for rapper stepping. This is why we are called. And I do not want to see my signatory to be attached on this bill. My signatory should be only for the accommodation and the food that you provided me, not for this bill. I thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I would allow for the presenters to come and respond. We had one on hydrogen. Yeah, we had one question on hydrogen. I'll just sit with you and explain what the question. And then there was also one question on the Amasep issue to the concession. All they are asking is they have their concession, and now I think that's the question. There's no economic benefits, nothing is happening. That is in layman's question. So, Kauta, I think when we do the closing session, the way forward, I think this is when I will hand over then to the ministry to say the bill is not resting. It's not. It keeps on coming up. I have ran all these sessions and it keeps on coming up. Some way we need to make a resolution around it. That's what I will recommend. But that's the way it is now. So can I allow the presenters to come? John? No, it was first Francis. Francis, you got your questions? Do you want to respond on that? Yeah.
Hi again. Yeah, thanks. I think I only had two questions. The one was more of a suggestion from Doc Nyambe around the bioprospecting. I know certainly from the plant point of view, there used to be the IPPT, which was the Indigenous Plant Task Team, and they look specifically, I think, for such things. But I think that has been dismantled since the ABS legislation came through. So just to say, we take note, and I agree fully that more needs to be invested in bioprospecting of our resources. The other one was with regards to awareness creation with succulents. So thank you for that question. I think that's almost a sword in my side in the sense of looking for funding. There is a huge issue around awareness creation for not only the succulents in the south, but also for our pachycauls up in the northwest. And creating that awareness of their values and their importance is key. And I think there is a colleague from MEFT who might also give a presentation a little bit later around the illegal harvesting of some of these succulents and may go into a bit more detail. But yes, and I mean also creating that awareness within communities also acts as safeguarding those species against those poachers. So yeah, there needs to be a lot more work, and I'm aware of that SCEP project. NNF is looking towards another source of funding, which may be able to support some of this in future, but of course we can't promise anything. But thanks. Yeah.
So John, you were next. You want to answer your questions? Okay.
Okay, I think I had one question from Kenneth, whether a conservancy is a legal entity. Yes, it is. It's created under the Nature Conservation Ordinance Amendment Act, a statute. Additionally, I wish Andrew Corbett was here. He could confirm for me, but I think there's also a court case where it determined that a conservancy, by the fact that it is a voluntary group with a constitution, also qualifies as an association under common law. So at least by the Nature Conservation Ordinance, you are a legal entity, and you are probably also a legal entity under common law, even though you didn't apply for it. But I stand to be corrected by a real lawyer.
Okay. And then I think we did have one question on the green hydrogen. It's more the socio-economic part that Kolka felt it was not touched on. Do you want to say something around that? Or can you just repeat your question again?
So
It was not even a question, it was a proposal. Maybe we need to come up with guidelines speaking to carbon trading, how it's done, how communities can benefit from carbon trading in community forestry services. Done.
Yes, on carbon credits, the only framework that I'm aware of comes from, come from the forestry colleagues, the Dogosho. I think the bush control and biomass utilization kind of industry, the people are producing charcoal and biochar. They have been exploring whether they can set up a carbon credit scheme. And I don't know how far they have gone on that one. And that's the only one I know. What was the other one? Right? Yeah.
I don't know whether Thomas, if you had a question on oil. I had oil and gas. What was that one?
Yeah, and it was on biodiversity and also credits or ecosystem services credits. Again, again, from the forestry colleagues who are involved in bush control and biomass utilization, they have been trying to secure a credit scheme through the FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council, whereby if they can prove that through the restoration of their rangeland, through removing the excess bush, they're actually increasing biodiversity and productivity of the farms. And there's a scheme like that within FSC, but so far it's been quite tough to be able to get the buyers to the scheme, people who can invest in the scheme so that you are able to buy, to sell those credits to get income.
Yeah. Can the batteries are gone? Maybe if we just, you can just maybe say something. It's very quiet. We will hear you. Okay. Okay. Okay, but we can hear you.
The idea actually came conservancies, which are bordering your this green hydrogen facilities, all these places where the green hydrogen will be developed. In plain simple terms, can we work together as conservancies of the green hydrogen? Yeah.
Yes. I will be on the, I'm sitting on the side of government where we are putting together the conducive environment for businesses to develop, for people to invest into. What we have to think together as a nation is how there's a lack of a framework. Like, for example, if I go to start a hydrogen or a mining activity in a commercial land, there is some type of compensation, automatic, is there. Because this landowner, they are going to lose access to this land, and they are going to lose any type of livelihood activities that they were kind of, getting from this land. So what I also do not understand is why does it not apply to communal land? And I think that goes back to government and the communities to see, can we develop a framework that actually, like the same with joint venture activities. When you go into a conservancy, you know exactly that how to deal with the community and what to expect because there's a framework. And I think for mining and other activities, including green hydrogen, we need to look into that.
And I think also I have raised this also with my colleagues from NNF, Mr. Ronnie Dember, I'm putting on the spot, that we really need to look and make it fair, because I just don't think that a mining company or a green hydrogen company comes in, because when you come in, you are actually exposing that land to new activities that is degrading to, if you are a conservancy, there are already issues of tourism, conflict of interest in terms of land uses. How do you compensate the loss of tourism? How do you compensate to, now you have people in this area, now there is the poaching, the risk of poaching increases. Conservancy now have to employ more people or have to invest more into law enforcement activities. How do you compensate for that? So I agree with you. I'm just not high enough to be able to action that.
Okay, thank you. So thank you, Don. And then we had a couple of other questions that were directed to the two directors. Ellie, do you want to take the one on concessions?
Yes, I can
Mhm.
take that one.
Mhm.
We are aware of the concession Gamma Seb is referring to, and would like to encourage them to contact the concession unit so that they can work together on the way forward.
Did you get that? Yes, good.
Thank you.
Tatendo Kosho?
Yeah, thank you. A couple of questions were directed to me. I think one is the one from the chief about the dry wood harvesting in communal area. We have not stopped the harvesting of dry wood in communal area. What we have strongly discouraged is the commercial harvesting of this wood in communal areas for obvious reasons. As I have mentioned yesterday, that the communal area residents depend on this wood for their energy needs. And some of these resources are communally owned. Now, if one person is exploiting this, selling wood to ShopRite or whatever, and he benefits alone, him and his family, at the expense of the majority residents who are owning these resources communally. A responsible government will not allow that. So we basically are saying there is where the resources is communally owned, a framework has to be put in place. People have to organize themselves and they have to work through a system that is able to benefit all the residents in that particular area, not an individual. So that's what we are strongly discouraging. With regards to why charcoal production is only happening in commercial area, that's how it was in the past. But I think since last year or so, we have introduced a system where selected communal areas. Who are these selected communal areas? Communal areas where we have legal entities like a community forest. Why? Because a community forest has got a constitution, it has got a resource management plan, and it has got a benefit sharing management plan. This community forest can qualify to produce charcoal, provided there's a problem of bush encroachment. Because charcoal in Namibia it's only produced, or rather it's only allowed where a problem of bush encroachment has been detected. And as a result of bush control, you are controlling this problem of bush encroachment, Then the biomass are byproducts. Now those biomass, you can turn them into an assortment of products. You can now do charcoal, you can do firewood, you can do poles, you can do whatever. But it's as a byproduct. But if you do not have a problem of bush encroachment, we cannot allow you to do charcoal. So that's really the condition there. But it's really the organized community forest and also what we call leasehold uh, leasehold farms or lands where people are given 99 years lease, for example. So we treat this as almost, like a communal, I mean, a commercial area because you almost own those resources. So when you are organized community forest and when you have a leasehold, you could be allowed to do charcoal, provided, of course, you meet other conditions. Plant quotas. I did not get that question very well, but I encourage my sister from Msati region to visit our office, and then we could see how we can assist her. I understand that she's talking about conservancies, or rather community forests, to be given quotas so that they can supplement the income. I think that's something that we could look at. Obviously, we have to do inventories of available forest resources and all these type of things. So I encourage, and I think my colleagues from the north are here, can also provide more input and more information so that that question can be dealt with. Now, the issue of community forests in Kavango West region, which is Mbeyo and Amagoro, and the illegal fences there. I've mentioned that issue yesterday as one of the biggest challenges that we have, but the issues of lands allocation do not fall under the purview of our ministry. The issues of land allocations falls within the purview of the communal land boards and the traditional authority. And I encourage that where such problems occur, you will report this to the communal land board. We have tried in the past to bring these issues to Attorney General office, for example, and we've been advised that we are not the competent authority to do so. The competent authority to bring the issues of land to the Attorney General for them to act is basically, as I said, communal land boards or traditional authority. And then also there are issues of boundary conflicts also between the Mbuza traditional authority and the Samju traditional authority, where someone is claiming that one of the traditional authority has actually allocated land that belongs to another traditional authority. Again, it's not falling under our purview, although we do try to assist, but those issues have to be ventilated by the ministry responsible for urban rural development and traditional authority and affairs and so on. We could facilitate bringing these parties together, but the office of the governor is actually a good point of call when it comes to matters pertaining to those issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Director. Is there one more, but we want to move? We just have one revolving mic and I'm a bit worried. So can we make more available? And can I also have the runners that were so active? Where are they? Thank you, Director. You can go.
Thank you, Maxi. Just one quick one. I really would want to say this one. The point that DEDC Corpo raised around the credits, whether they are carbon credits, whether they are ecosystem services credits, and what have you. We know at this point that we do not have that framework that is guiding us. Ideally, for us to be very, very clear, as Don says, we would want to have some guidelines, whether they are in a policy framework, whether they are in a guidelines framework, just like we do on hunting, just like we do on JV tourism. We know that communal conservancies are being approached by many business people. They are running out there, and our advice thus far has been, please do not sign any agreement with any of these business people, because we are not in a position as a ministry to help you. Should you go and sign an agreement that will lock you into something that you may regret, our general advice and guidance has been, if there is such an agreement and you feel you want to sign it, bring it to the ministry first. Let us find the proper guidance for you in the absence of the formal guidelines. So the guidance to the conservancies is, do not sign any agreement prior to obtaining ministry advice for now. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very clear, eh? To the conservancies and the community forests. Okay. So thank you so much. This concludes the session that we had this morning. It just overflowed into after lunch. So I would like to just thank my presenters. If I can just, can you just give them a round of applause? Thank you. So we are going into the last leg. And I would also not, I would like to wait to invite our next presenters. I hope they are ready. Ruben, are you ready? I saw you somewhere there. Yes, can you please come up? While Ruben is coming up, I would like to just ask you to stand up a little bit and just not go out. Stretch does not mean you need to go out. It's two different words. Just stretch a little bit, but Ruben, you come up. That will then be followed by Kenneth. So Ruben is going to talk about on wildlife crime, which is just an update in terms of what is happening in the world of wildlife crime, not just wildlife, plans included. And yeah, you are ready, yeah? Good, good. It will come, don't worry, it will come. And you know how to use this. Yeah. Nobody stood up. So yeah, so you may be seated. You can also just introduce yourself. Because
okay. All right. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I would like to stand on the protocol as already established. My name is Ruben Angara. I am a chief warden in the Wildlife Protection Services Division, the Ministry of Environment. So since yesterday, we have been talking about natural resource beneficiation. We've been talking about financing mechanisms. We've been talking about business models. So I think for us to talk about all those, all come from natural resources, but you can only realize those if you have got a good law enforcement system that you have to protect your resources, that you don't get robbed of them. So I'm going to talk about really on poaching of animals and plants, what has been happening, and what we can do with the community-based organizations. So okay. we have shifted from talking about wildlife crime. We are now talking about environmental crime. And environmental crime remains the highest threat when it comes to our biodiversity. It affects, of course, both the animals and the plants. And because of that, it really undermines the efforts that we are putting in place, be it to conserve these resources in any manner. And this conference comes at the right time, really, where we need to have a dialogue on involving the community, as we know that crime happens within our communities, and we need to build a strong informant network. And we can only do that if we have cooperation with the community members. Now, it is a common understanding across the board that poaching is all about somebody picking up a .303, pulling a trigger and kills a kudu. But it goes beyond that. When it comes to poaching, the common understanding of killing animals is not the only one, but it extends beyond that. So poaching comes in a form of inchoate offenses, and the ordinance, the Nature Conservation Ordinance, defines it categorically clear that poaching is not only about killing. So as you can see right on the screen there, I have extracted it from the Nature Conservation Ordinance. So it means, by any means whatsoever, to kill or attempt to kill, or to shoot or attempt to shoot at, to pursue, to search for, or to drive with intent to kill or shoot at, or to willfully disturb. So that is the definition that we stand with legally. That is what poaching is. It's not about killing only, but by any means whatsoever. Whether it's using a stick, whether it's using a spear, whether it's using a sahai, whatever the case may be. So that is the existing definition of illegal hunting at the present moment. Right, so we have the types of poaching, basically wildlife poaching that includes the poaching of the animals, and then the plant poaching that includes timber, the illegal harvesting of protected succulents. And then those two will fit into two kind of concepts, the subsistence and commercial poaching. So when somebody goes out to hunt an antelope for own use or own consumption, that is basically your subsistence poaching, whereas commercial, really, it's at a large scale where, for example, game carcasses are supplied to butcheries and markets. So the current trends in wildlife crime, we're really experiencing continued pressure on the poaching of rhinos and pangolins. As we know, pangolins remain the highest trafficked mammal, not only in Namibia, elsewhere in the world. And in Namibia specifically, the driving factors are not well understood, as we believe that there may not be a real market, because many a times the opportunistic traffickers end up dealing with law enforcement operatives. So we have an increase in organized crime, wildlife crime networks, really. We have got multiple syndicates that are operating in the country. Northeast have different syndicates, the North Central have different syndicates, the Central has different syndicates, even the southern part of the country as well. And from time to time, they are regrouping. The way they operate, the modus operandi that they use is changing from time to time. And the reason why it's changing is really that they want to outsmart law enforcement, but we have to do much so that we can deal with these syndicates. On top of that, there is trafficking and illicit trade and possession of controlled wildlife products, which have picked up over time. And it's also a challenge when it comes to wildlife crime. Then the most important one is the illegal keeping of animals in captivity. Yeah. So tortoises, pangolins, yes. And we may have suspects here. Maybe we lock some of them. All right. So I'm not sure if you can see properly. This slide is just basically showing some of the controlled wildlife products. When it comes to controlled wildlife products, really these are products that are from animals and plant species that are listed on Appendix 1 of CITES, and also all those that are listed in Schedule 3 of the Nature Conservation Ordinance. So yeah, it has been a challenge, and law enforcement is doing the best we can to deal with the matter. Then we have got illegal keeping of game or wild animals in captivity. Tortoises. It is illegal to keep them in captivity without a permit issued under the authority of the minister responsible for environment and tourism. So besides the tortoises, there are several other species as well. The pangolins, maybe somebody with a pangolin in a cage, or whatever species it can be, whether it's classified as game or wild animal. So yeah, that is one of the issues we have. Then wildlife crime is really an economic crime. And when it comes to the community-based organizations, this is stealing from rural communities. This is stealing from rural communities. So what happens is that when these products are trafficked through dubious means, illegally, the process evades all taxes and social contributions. And really, at the end of the day, it has negative impacts heavily on the legal industries. So now I will go into the stats from the last 4 years. So we start with elephant poaching between 2022 and 2025. What you can see here is not carcasses of elephants. The numbers that you are seeing on the screen is basically the criminal cases that we have dealt with and where there was arrests only. So it's not the elephants which were poached. Those are a number of cases that we dealt with over time. And as you can see, the trend is moving downwards towards 2025. So yeah, that's where we are standing. And also, just to indicate, these statistics include preventative cases where we had preemptive arrests. So where we could arrest suspects before the actual crime could be committed. Then this slide just shows the product seizures over time between 2022 and 2025. And as you can see there, we had really a significant number of full ivories confiscated by law enforcement, and which is 227 full ones. Yeah. On rhinos, again, these are not carcasses of rhinos. These are cases that we dealt with, recorded, where there was arrests, okay? As you can see, 2024 really had reports. 2024 stood out with the highest number of rhino poaching during that time. Again, it also includes preventative cases where we arrested people on conspiracy charges, where we could intercept them before they could actually go and poach a rhino. Again, this one shows the products which were seized over time between 2022 and with a total of 32 full rhino horns recovered. Now, pangolin, again, as I said in the beginning, that it is the most trafficked mammal. For Namibia, we do not fully understand the driving factors. We believe the market is not a real one because many a times the opportunistic traffickers will end up selling to or dealing with undercover law enforcement operatives. So it's something that we need to look at. Maybe researchers can help us to understand that, what the driving factor is, and if indeed we really have a market or not. Right, again on seizures, you can see there, we had a total of 39 live animals recovered from traffickers. And there is a program that is ongoing to rehabilitate these seized live animals through the Pangolin Conservation and Research Foundation. And it's working perfectly well to save those that are subjected to trafficking under weird conditions before they could possibly get what we call a possible buyer. Okay, when it comes to plants, it is, I think it's a new concept when you talk about plant poaching, because when you talk about poaching, people always relate it to wildlife. But yeah, it is an emerging concept. And over time, we have noted a rising trend in illegal harvesting of protected timber species, the northeastern regions. We have a number of cases that are coming from there, where there was illegal harvesting of protected timber, either is logs or planks, whatever the case may be. There is an increased demand for succulent plants, as Francis said, that there is actually issues when it comes to succulent plants is something that we picked up in the last 4 years, basically, with the first case that we picked up in Oganja, and it involved a number of species. So I will touch the targeted species as we move on. But we do not also understand really the driving factor why these plants are sought after. One big issue is cross-border trade of protected succulent plants. The market is not locally. We have established that it is in foreign markets. And this is a challenge that we have, and we need to deal with it. And these plants are coming from our rural areas. So I think the community-based organizations will be then helpful in dealing with this thing, because the issue is that we have a weak enforcement in remote areas. Many a times we only pick up these consignments at the border, at the exit points. There was one isolated case at the Hosea Kutako International Airport, but that we couldn't deal with because the products were already out of the country. So yeah, again, just to emphasize weak enforcement in remote areas. So the targeted species, as you can see on your screen, is mostly the protected succulent plants, and they are protected under the Nature Conservation Ordinance of 1975. We have the Cyphostemma species there, as you can see, the Uta and Baenzi. We have the Commiphora species. I think this particular one is a Commiphora saxicola, if I'm not mistaken. Then we have the Adenia peschweli, which is commonly known as the elephant's foot. And then we have the lithops in the south. So again, now are from a case in Karasberg. Those are conophytums and a number of lithops. I just want a little story about this case, because I want to indicate the complexity and how transnational the trafficking of succulent plants is. What happened here is that the police was on a patrol at Pharaoh's Drift border post between South Africa and Namibia, and they came across 5 young guys who were walking alongside the river. And the moment they saw the police, then they started fleeing. So 4 of them jumped in the river and they swam to an island. but there was one who couldn't swim, tough luck for him. And they all had backpacks. So he was then questioned by the police what he was doing and so forth. But upon searching the backpack that he was, they found all these plants. So they took him in for questioning. He was not a Namibian national, he was a South African national. But those that jumped in the river, there was Namibian nationals and some were South African nationals. So then coordination was done with the police in Uppington to rescue these people because it was a long distance to get on land on the other side of South Africa. Then the police came to rescue those guys. But when they rescued them, they did not find them with bags anymore. I think they threw them in the river. So the Namibians were only arrested on the other side for illegal immigrant, and they were found with nothing. The South Africans were released because there was nothing to hold them on. So further with investigations, it was established that these guys, when they were arrested, that was the third time they came over to Namibia. They had pairs of clothes in bags. They were sleeping in mountains, harvesting these plants in the south. And the market was in Cape Town. I will not tell you how much, but we know for how much they were selling per cup. Okay. So yeah, again, timber from the northeastern regions. Then we have got illegal firewood production, of course, also one of the issues. And this is just to indicate the routes that we have established over time of how this trafficking is happening. This is particularly for succulent plants. And this one is for timber. So on plants poaching, this is the stats that we have. This again is crime, is criminal cases that we dealt with over time. It's not individual plants, but cases registered over those years. Then, as you 4 years, we had a total of 4,711. And we know precisely that some of the species, especially the succulent plants, they are endemic to Namibia, only found here, no elsewhere in the world. So, and some of them, the populations are not well understood as well. We may be running a risk of getting these species extinct. Then I would like to touch a little bit on the issue of poaching and wildlife conflict. We know that every time an elephant comes in the mango field or every and preys on the livestock, something must happen. Well, the law makes provision under certain circumstances that an owner or lessee or occupier of communal land can kill either protected game or specially protected game when there is threat to human life or the life of another person, or when there is threat to livestock, poultry, but it makes it specifically clear that whilst under imminent threat. So if a lion preys on the cattle and the farm owner tracks it afterwards, that is after the fact, it becomes, pursuing and it amounts to poaching actually. So yeah, we need to understand the thin line between poaching and human wildlife conflict. All right, so what is Namibia doing when it comes to poaching? Of course, there was resources mobilized through the established protected plants task team to get to the regions, to get to law enforcement countrywide and raise awareness. There are materials developed and the program is still running to make people aware of these threatened species. Also the communities. And the transboundary efforts, CASA as well, there was training specifically on timber identification and also other forest products with member countries. And Namibia and South Africa, particularly with the hawks, we're working very closely, assisting each other when it comes to transnational crimes and investigations related to that. There were also some commissions between countries, Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, and so forth. So it is working a transboundary effort. But again, for those community-based organizations that find themselves within those ranges, I think it is also an opportunity to look at. So the impacts of crime on conservancies and community forests. If we allow environmental crime or wildlife crime to flourish within our areas, it will lead to decline in wildlife populations, and we will not be sitting here with CBNRM. Yeah. So the natural resource beneficiation aspect will be reduced. There will be loss of tourism revenue. There will not be operators coming, getting concessions. There will be reduced community benefits and livelihoods. In fact, the dollar will be reduced. Then when it comes to community forests, of course, if we allow illegal harvesting of our protected timber species, there will be depletion of essential natural capital, your high value timber species, yeah? The Pterocarpus angolensis in the northeastern regions. There will be loss of communal revenue and benefits, of course. We were informed here by the director that there is millions of dollars made, even though not quantified. So that will have to decline. There will be increased human wildlife conflicts because if we cut down trees, then there will be reduction in habitat. And then that will mean that the animals will have to encroach closer to the people, and then you will have a lot of incidences. Then, of course, overall, is a threat to social security and ultimately national security as well. The Nature Conservation Ordinance, I think when it comes to next provision for the appointment of honorary nature conservators and appointment, the person will have the powers as listed in the Nature Conservation Ordinance to execute those powers. And this should really be a coordinated program if it has to be explored. Again, when it comes to forestry, again, there is a provision for honorary forest officers. I think is one of the opportunities to look into so that there can be powers with those that are responsible to protect the resources at community level so that they can also assist. It cannot be only be the state, but those that rest with the powers to manage these resources should have the powers to protect them as well. Then it was mentioned on bioprospecting. We do not understand the reason why these plants are trafficked, specifically the succulent plants. It could be that there is medicinal value in them, and we don't want a situation where 30 years from now, we will be buying medicine that is probably curing cancer, and that plant was existing in Namibia and is not there anymore because it was completely harvested. Collaboration with state authorities, yes, we need to work together. And then the community will actually serve as the crime intelligence information relay. We know crime happens within the communities. We know actually who's committing a crime. People are from our houses. People are from our neighborhoods. Yeah. And if we build this informant network and providing intelligence on these kinds of crimes, it will really help us to deal with the problem. So then again, the fundamental question of what we can do. What is it that we can do going in the future? Really, it's about multi-sectoral approach. We cannot operate, we cannot work in isolation. We have to work together. And in recent years, multi-agency approach as a concept has actually been proven to be effective in dealing with crime, particularly wildlife crime. Right? And an example of this concept is the Blue Rhino Task Team, which started off as an operational order by the Inspector General of the Namibian Police in 2018. And at that time, it was charged with the duties and responsibilities to investigate wildlife crimes related to high-value species, basically the elephants, the rhinos, and the pangolins. But as we speak today, they have extended, or we have extended the wings to also look into issues like illegal trophy hunting, illegal harvesting of plants, because there is elements of money laundering in these things. And transnational. So we need to deal with those big issues that we are having at hand. And the community, of course, will help us. So to conclude, we really need to strengthen institutional capacity of the community-based organizations to help us with wildlife law enforcement, so that we effectively investigate cases related to wildlife. But all we want to do is to capitalize on preemptive arrests, because we want to arrest people before they could actually commit the crimes. We need to improve policy enforcement and compliance. If we have to amend the laws to suit a particular aspect of law enforcement, we must look at that. And also, on top of that, we need to enhance community benefit. I think that's what has been the deliberation since yesterday. And overall, we need to promote partnerships. That is between government, non-governmental organizations, and communities. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ruben. Yeah, Ruben shared a lot, and it involves all of us, because those resources are not just our resources. So we all have to be involved. So without further ado, can I ask Mr. Kenneth Wisse to come up, and he will be giving a presentation on mining. I think it was your mining came up the first day already. So I hope they have your. Oh, give him a hand of applause as he walks up the podium.
Ik weet het.
Toch niet bij ons.
Op de harten van iedereen.
Oh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Again?
Can we do it again, please? Good afternoon. That's good. I've got a very difficult task, or the timing is maybe just not right. A presentation right after lunch, after such a heavy lunch, is always not a great thing for the listeners. It's good for the presenter. You can rush through everything and people will not remember. So I'm here to give a presentation on prospecting and mining in conservancies and community forests, and the applicable policy framework and legislation. The theme that I'll focus on is in red in my presentation, enhancing governance for optimized community benefits, using the policy legislative framework to see that benefits flow to communities that are involved in natural resources management. And in my presentation, I'm gonna touch on many aspects. So it's maybe gonna be a boring presentation. I hope it's not gonna be. I'm gonna touch on history, geography, geopolitics, geology, conservation, CBNRM, and propose some practical recommendations that we can consider for the policy framework to work for the community level benefit. So I'm gonna start with the history. So before us, we have two maps. The map, if I stand like this, this map here is the map point. Yeah. So it's the one on the left is the map that was drawn in around 1914. It was drawn by the German colonial government to indicate the mining concessions that were granted at that time. So at that time, mining concessions were like big tracts of land covering big areas because the technology was not well advanced to then possibly find minerals. So couple of years or number of years down the line, we are at the situation. So basically all of Namibia was covered with mining activities, or there were people around that time looking for minerals everywhere in Namibia, mainly German companies. So Namibia was carved up into big blocks, big chunks for mineral exploration. Before the colonial mining, communities that were also doing mining, traditional mining mineral resources that they were using in their daily livelihood activities. Then the colonial administration came in, there was a lot of mining. And in the independent Namibia, that's a map on our right. It's a map of licenses that were issued between 2000 and 2020. So in that 10-year, we can clearly see on the map that basically all of Namibia is covered with some kinds of mining licenses, either a mining license or exclusive prospecting and mining license, exclusive prospecting license, EPLs, or mining claims. So that's what we see sort of represents the present situation. We see some blocks where it is white. Those areas, that's the Namib Sea, because of the international agreements, no mining and prospecting in the Namib Sea, because it's a World Heritage Site. We have Etosa National Park, and then we have also the southeastern Namibia, where there is no real mining interest or exploration. And I think this will become clearer why the southeastern parts of Namibia is not so popular for mining or for exploration activities. So there is a long history of mining and prospecting in Namibia. And there is also a much longer history of local communities, indigenous people living off the wildlife resources, which possibly means that there was some kind of conservation practices to ensure that the resource is not depleted, because these communities dependent on these resources and they would follow these resources around. That's now the history. Now we move on to the geology part. So again, the map on the left indicates it's a kind of a density map. It indicates the diversity of minerals, different types of minerals that we find. So we can see on the western part of Namibia, we have various mineral resources. So basically, the western side of Namibia, that is where we find the exposed bedrock, as they call it in geology. These are the mountains, these are the rocky areas, and these are areas that are rich in mineralization. This is where we find the minerals, and they are all mostly confined to the western parts of Namibia. So about 1,000 million years ago, that part of Namibia was possibly part of a greater Gondwana land. So during the breakups, that part of Namibia was exposed, and that's where we have most of the minerals. If we look at the eastern Namibia, where it says Rundu, all the way down to where the P of Keetmanshoop stops, we see there is no real mineral diversity. It's not because there are no minerals to mine there. But if we know the geography, geomorphology of Namibia, that's the area that is covered under the Kalahari Sand. So potential mineral resources are lying very deep under the sand. And this sand extends all the way into the Congo Basin. So the north central Namibia, parts of north central Namibia, parts of the Kavango West region, Zambezi, Kavango East, is covered by those Kalahari sand systems. That's why we don't have so much mineral exploration taking place in those areas. in the recent years, we had a company that came to look for oil in the Kavango East-West Oxygen-Tuba region interface. And then again, just to demonstrate that long history of conservation practices in Namibia, over 100 years of state-protected conservation management systems. The map on the, is it the left? Map on the right indicates now the conservancies, the freehold conservation areas, state protected areas, tourism concessions, they are all indicated on that map. So if you put these maps on one another, I was unable to do that because I took the maps from two different sources. It's an indication that mining interest, exploration interest, and the need to conserve, need to sustainably manage our wildlife resources, not just wildlife resources, but forest resources overlaps. So there is an overlap between those needs, and it needs management, it needs policy intervention, it needs a proper governance systems for these two production systems or economic activities to coexist. I think we are stuck with conservation and geology. It's not moving. Oh. So I just want to highlight some key concentrations. When we talk about the overlap between conservation, tourism, community development, sustainable development, and mining, exploration, mining claims, and so on, there are a number of things that we need to consider. And I try to provide some context by putting some facts from our minds as we look at how can we use policy framework to marry these two to get greater benefits for we call Namibia. So 2024, mining contributed about 13.3% to the gross domestic product of the country. That is, if you put all the economic activities together and if you assign percentages, 13% was generated by mining activities. About 2,600 new jobs were created in that period. And then if you look at the mining jobs in total, at that time, about 20,000 jobs, 5 billion in taxes, levies and royalties, while about 23 or 24 billion was invested or injected in local economy through procurement of goods and services. So that's the overall bigger impact of the mining. But it's not just mining in general. It's not just all the mining claims. It's not just all the EBLs. There were key big contributors to these revenues or income or economic activities that we see. So primary contributors in terms of minerals were diamonds. Of course, in the last financial year, output from the diamond industry was not that great. But uranium, we see the uptake in uranium. Gold, we see the increase in prices of copper, and we see interest in more exploration for copper activities. So those were like the key minerals that were contributing to this mining economy. And then we have the CBNRM, our own baby, our own program, where about 244,000 rural communities are involved, generating income and benefits in excess of about 166 million Namibian dollars and employing over about 1,000 employees. So I put this figures up, not for the sake of comparison. I put them up to put the context to this because the billions that we see there, the contributions are at the national level. We all feel it, especially in urban areas. That's probably where most of the government spending goes, into schools, into clinics, and so on. So The benefits from the mining is at the national level. The benefits from the CBNRM program is making a difference at the local level in the rural economy, where sometimes if we look at most possible form of land use in the communal area setting is farming. And we know from about 2012 onwards, we did not have a very good rainfall seasons. So the livestock, which is the resilient or livelihood activity for the local communities, is basically gone. Many communities are like in the recovery phase. So this 166 million that we talk about makes a big difference at the local level. I think that's a context and a message that I want to send home. So what these CBNRM benefits generate is the boost to the rural economy in remote areas with limited livelihood options. So now in terms of policy and legislative framework that governs mining and CBNRM in Namibia, I think from the presentations and discussions from yesterday onwards, it's very clear that the Namibian constitution is really the foundation. It's a foundational source, especially Article 95L and Article 100. Article 95L, I think it's almost like a Bible for those of us in the CBNRM and Nature Conservation Program. Whenever we want to bring a message across, we cite that article because it puts the onus on the state to actively promote policies that would bring about sustainable development. Not just sustainable development, but also intergenerational equity. So whatever we do today, we must leave the resources, the nature, the country Namibia in a good condition for the generations to follow. That is what Article 95L provides for. And Article 100 basically states that all the natural resources are vested with the state. The state is us, the people of Namibia. So we all own those resources collectively, and this includes the mineral resources. Then we have the Minerals Act of 33 of 1992. We have the Nature Conservation Ordinance as it was amended in 1996. We have the Forest Act. I am not so sure of the year. Maybe I know there were a lot of developments on the Forest Act in the recent years. We have the Environmental Management Act, and we have the National Policy on concessions on state land. All of this policy framework tries to put up systems for governance for natural resources with the aim of getting benefits to the local resource users. But then sometimes it gets difficult to try and implement all these laws at the same time. Of course, we are required to do that. And especially in the space that we occupy, it is really a challenge. And sometimes a much directed policy framework that brings all these different frameworks together is required. And we try to achieve that through a document that we call the National Policy on, oh no, before I get there. I think there's quickly key challenges. Incompatibilities between mining and CBNRM activities in communal areas. Yesterday, it came out in a discussion that mining is a potential threat, possibly to conservation or tourism activities. So those incompatibilities, incompatibilities after mining and CBNRM, disturbance in the form of tourism activities, potentially wildlife and livestock farming activities. Sometimes you see that mining claims or EBLs are issued right behind people's houses. and you see pets and trenches right behind people's livestock crawls and so on. So farming, mining activities, EBLs and mining claims and rehabilitation, the biggest challenge in conservancies, EPL companies coming in, digging up trenches, digging up pits, leaving those pits open and dangerously exposed wildlife, people, children, everything. Now, direct financial and local economic optimization at the CBNRM level from mining and exploration activities. I think this also came out yesterday. And then high value species conservation concerns. In the next slides to follow, I'll try and zoom in on how these things are playing out in the Kunene region. Not because there is many people from Kunene here, or not because I'm also from Kunene, but because these issues are playing out in Kunene, and we can draw examples from there that can then influence and inform the policy making. A map from the study that we did in the Northwest, looking at the Namibian lion. It was a genetic study. We were looking at the connectivity, genetic connectivity of the lions across that landscape, the famous, well-known desert lions, how they link up with the Etosa lions. So we know Etosa is the mainstay or the after lunch effects. I'm forgetting now. So Etosa has the largest population of lions in Namibia. It's a stronghold for lion population, and lions are connected through Hopatere in the corridor, which is the Ombonde River system. That when it crossed the Sesfontein Palambach Road, it's called the Wanip. So on the other side, it's called Wanip. This side of the road, it's called Ombonde. So Ombonde is a critical link for wildlife. So here we draw an example from the lions, looking at the genetics, and it was very clear that there is a connectivity between the western, the desert elephants in the Skeleton Coast and the lions in Etosa National Park, connected through that Hobadere, Ombonde, Huani corridor. So that corridor is important, not just for the lions, but it's also important for elephants. It's important for other prey species that the conservancies rely on for their hunting, for their tourism activities. So that is the corridor which is there in the northwestern Namibia, connecting, if we can say it that way, the Omusati region, which is the Etosa, to the Kunene region. One example. So this is another example, but this time on the same lines, but from the collared animals. For those that are at the far end of the room, they will struggle to see what I want to demonstrate here. But those dots that you see are the positions, GPS positions of the collared lines. So Western Etosa, a lot of concentrations in Hopatere concession area, where these lines are giving problems to Eherovipuka and Twadinghuas Conservancy here. But then again, if you can see all those dots, small dots, indicating the importance of that corridor. So that corridor is kind of a lifeline for connecting, if we can call it that way, Etosa to the Skeleton Coast. Important for those concepts that we are trying to materialize, the People's Parks concept. So those are areas that are important. And those important areas are also, as much as they're important for the wildlife, they also get important for the mining activities. So this is the map, density map of all the mining sites in that corridor area between, say, Etosa. This is the boundary of Etosa. These are the conservancies. And further here, up here, it's Palambach, and then Skeleton Coast is somewhere up there on the blue cordon. So we can clearly see in that corridor, which is important for wildlife, there is a lot of mining activities. So it is starting from small scale mining activities where small holes are dug to obtain minerals for prospecting to big, large scale commercial mining. And this is the work that we just concluded now in March. We did a aerial survey over those activities. It's a work continuing from the activities we were doing last year. So clear indication that this area is also important for mineral exploitation. This is another map of the same information of the same area in the same region of Kunene. So here we are demonstrating the overlap of these mining activities with the exclusive wildlife areas of the registered conservancies. So you can clearly see on the map there is some kind of overlap. So mining activities, exploration activities taking place in areas zoned specifically for wildlife conservation. Exploration activities taking place in areas gazetted for conservation and benefit optimization from the use of wildlife and other natural resources. So these slides I put together to demonstrate the overlap between the mining activities, wildlife conservation activities, tourism activities, so that we can then see how best to respond to this overlap so that there is a greater benefit for people on the land living off from these resources, including the minerals. So the ministry developed what is called a national policy on mining and prospecting in protected areas, other areas with high value species and environmentally sensitive areas. So this is a collective effort between our ministry and the Ministry of Industries, Mines and Energy. This is a continuation of a policy framework which was already in place that came to an end, and we expanded on that policy framework. We brought in some new ideas which will come out in the presentation to try and bring that, or not bring, but strike a balance between these overlapping land uses with the primary objective of seeing to it that conservation, environmental sustainability, community benefits are sustained. That's the primary objective. So this policy is based on key principles. Protected areas provide economic benefits. That's a principle number one. So protected areas are also important, not just for conserving biodiversity, but also for generating livelihood activities. We had presentations on the tourism concessions. These tourism concessions are mainly drawn from or are associated with the protected areas. So they are economic engines in those remote areas. Protected areas are the cornerstone for biodiversity conservation. As much as we generate economic activities, we also set these areas aside for biodiversity conservation because they were found to be important. But it's not just the conservation areas or the protected areas which are important for biodiversity conservation. We have areas outside protected areas with high value species that play an important and complementary conservation role. Prospecting for mining and minerals in protected areas is considered. For instance, we have Rosing uranium. Sorry, Rosing is not inside the park. This is where the geography part comes in. So we have Husab and many others in protected areas. We have Namdeb, for instance, also in a protected area. So prospecting for and mining of minerals in protected areas is considered. It's not a strict no for mining. It's considered. But as much as we allow mining in protected areas, it must be followed by a process of rehabilitation, restoring this land to its former glory. The importance of mining is fully recognized. I talk about the billions. It's important for the economy of our country. Functional systems are required to secure financing. So for all this work that we want to do through this policy, all that work that requires this interface between these two industries or practices requires financial resources if we are to see to it that local communities, the environment is a beneficiary of our activities. Rehabilitation of abandoned mines, I think that is a very important principle. We should not forget about what happened in the past, taking us back to history. A lot of old and abandoned mines in our protected areas and also in our communal areas, they need to be considered. We should not just be thinking about mining that is happening now or mining that will happen in the future. Yeah, just 5 more. Yeah, I've got 10 more slides, but I'll just rush through them. The mission is to guide, and I want to focus on the words that are in red. The policy, the mission of the policy is to guide prospecting and mining activities in those sensitive areas, to support important ecosystem processes. Idea is to make sure that mining activities, prospecting does not interfere with important ecosystem services and processes, that they lead to economic growth, while important one, avoiding areas that are highly sensitive because of their ecological, environmental, social, and cultural heritage values. Objectives, no negative impact to biodiversity, ecology, and tourism. Let me give you a minute to read, then I move to the next slide. So, sorry. So this policy that we want to implement now, hopefully is from next month, which is April or May, the latest. We want to achieve that policy through a number of strategies, key issues or activities that we will undertake. It's kind of a 10-year policy. So we will, through the policy framework, define areas to be excluded from prospecting and mining. So no-go areas for mining and prospecting. We'll identify procedures in relation to different exploration and mining arrangements to see to it that there is accountability, there is responsibility, and people take responsibility for their activities. We would come up with strategies to regulate change of ownership, of change of company name, to make sure that people don't run away from their responsibilities of rehabilitating by changing ownership or changing company names. We will see to it that we have systems in place for renewals. When you apply for renewal to renew your mining license, your exploration license, or your mining claims, we will see to it that you first meet your conditions before your renewals can be considered, for instance, to make sure that there is rehabilitation. Closure and restoration, the ministries, these two ministries, with all of us working together, will see to it that when there is exploration activities are done, once the EPLs have dug the trenches and pits, we make sure that they come back and rehabilitate. And the idea is to put in systems that we will use to make sure that they, or the mining companies or exploration companies, are responsible for closure and restoration. Biodiversity offset is a new concept that we are trying to introduce, where the mining companies and exploration companies would try their best first to avoid negative environmental impacts from mining and prospecting. So the primary objective through the Environmental Management Act is to reduce and avoid where possible. Only in the cases where it is not possible to avoid negative impact, then we'll talk about biodiversity offsets, where you offset for these losses or damages in an area somewhere else where at the end of the day, your activity will lead to an overall net positive gain for biodiversity. Environmental impact assessments and environmental impact management plan reviews This is also a new idea. In cases where our ministry, which is responsible for overseeing the environmental management process, does not have the capacity to review these EIAs, we would get the experts from outside the ministry, outside the country, outside the Africa, outside, okay, in the world to help with the reviews of the EMPs and the EIAs so that the government can then make an informed policy decision on whether to allow that activity. Sorry. Can we go back one slide? This is the last one. So I want to follow the example set by others, and I want to also make some recommendations. Legal protection of the zonation plans of conservancies and community forests as per the wishes of the conservancy members. I think we should all advocate for that so that the conservancies can have a say as to what is happening in those areas that they have zoned for livestock farming, for tourism development, for exploration, for mining. So giving powers to the conservancies or local resource users or managers and using the law and the legal framework to help them do that. That's recommendation number one. Number two is make public consultations for mining, prospecting, and other developmental projects in CBNRM geographies mandatory. I think this is the biggest problem is with stakeholder consultations, especially when EIAs are conducted, and most of the trouble is as a result of poor consultation. So people, environmental practitioners argue that they have put out a notice on a SOP in a newspaper for a project that is 100 kilometers remote from the nearest urban center. They will put up the notice on the shopping center, hoping that everyone will come 100 kilometers away to shop at that shopping center and see the notice. And in the EIA report, they will say stakeholders were consulted and nicely place the photographs of the advert. I think that is not enough. We should make it mandatory for physical stakeholder consultations where practitioners and developers go to the communities and speak to the communities about development they want to do. Full application of the Environmental Management Act, role of traditional authorities in mining and exploration. This is also something that came up. It has its own positives and negatives. Sometimes traditional authorities assume that responsibility and say yes and give a consent, whereas the communities have different wishes. And then this brings fights between traditional authorities and the local communities, stakeholders that needs to stand together, work together, stay together, live together, and dance together. Community-based approaches to benefits from mineral resources. So when we talk about wildlife, communities benefit. Water, communities benefit. Fisheries, inland fisheries, communities benefit. Forestry is for community benefit. Rangeland management, it's for community benefit. When it comes to minerals, it's extracted, exported, no local level benefits. I think we should change the policy framework for local communities to also benefit those living with the mineral resources. Can you do that one? And I think the very last recommendation is where there are existing economic activities and where there are new projects coming up in those areas that are likely to influence those projects negatively, there must be an economic impact assessment to see long-term, is this new project going to bring greater, better benefits than the existing project? Or is it just going to bring short-term benefits and leave the communities with the long-term cost? Thank you.
So thank you so much, Kenneth. I think, yeah, it was a very encouraging presentation, especially when it comes to mining. I know when we normally meet in workshops, it has always been an issue of conflict rather than an issue of resolutions and moving forward. So we are getting to the last leg of our presentations. So I have the honor to invite Mr. John Kasauna to come and talk about a topic that is also very close to our hearts, and that is human-wildlife conflict management. So John, yeah, I mean, give John, and John needs a big applause. So your present, oh, it's already there.
Okay. So the pointer here, I'm told. Yeah, thank you very much. Let me honor the presence of honorable governors, DED, and the other staff members of ministries, and our honorable guest. Let me, before I start, just make one thing very clear. What I'm going to present here, it might have some sensitive pictures, images that might be sensitive to some views, but those are the realities that we want to share with the House. Just bear with us. So also, I've been listening and be hearing from people that when they are referring to conservancy, they say that thing called conservancy. It's not that thing. This conservancy comprises of the lives of the rural residents. If it is not in all the regions, it is in the 13 regions of this country. But it can be all because myself and Kolka that are living here, we are from our conservancies. So the whole of the countries is basically conservancies. So I've been asked to talk about the role of conservancy in human-wildlife conflict, and the pictures say it all. And I must also say that, what is the pointer here? You see Amahimba? Which one is what? This one. You see, coming from Gunene, you need a lot of education. Huh?
This one, the red
Which one?
The red one.
It's your pointer. Oh, what is the governor? Oh. Okay, the pointer. Can you next slide? Yeah. So what I really want to bring home is that the very community we are talking about in conservancy, we are coming from an era where we were completely denied the right to life with wildlife. That is our history. All of us before independence, we have no rights whatsoever. The only thing that we can use was our rifles to ensure that we put food on our family tables. My sister, look at me. When I do this, you must change. So, and poaching of rhino, some of our key species, it was the order of the day. And this was done by the mafia, and they were blaming it to the communities. I'm sure if the community were poaching at this level, they would have finished all the wildlife. But we had system of our traditional leaders that were regulating huntings and actually allowing hunting to happen at certain season and certain area. But if we look back 40 years ago, we can already see that communities, when they started thinking otherwise, they managed to stop the massive poaching that was going on. Also at this point, I must also give recognitions to one of our founder, Garth Owen Smith, the founder of I. He sticked out his neck during apartheid. Talking about communities was like you are hiring criminals to look after animals. And that has cost his life. He was arrested, funding was stopped. It's only after independence, when the Namibian government was in place, our new minister, Nico Bisingas, basically visited Veretzend, and the new legislation was a consultation with the rural Namibians were enacted that gave rights. I don't want to go into detail of that one. We know the new legislations and what it says. So that was to basically bring that vision of community being on the forefront and also seeing community as a solutions instead of seeing them as a problem. To the point that the very Himba that had a rifle before now, that guy is talking about donations. Sikopo. Imagine Himba now telling the other Himba, hey, that was a very real transformations. It just shows the conservancy. Somebody was saying, I think it is a chief regional officer of Kunene, that is Kunene just full of conservancies. Just the small space, the whole of Kunene is full of conservancy. And I also know that Zambesi is full of conservancy. The whole Bobata is full of conservancies. So the Honorable Governor of Hartab and Karas are not here, but we need to do something here below. So these are the geographic location of various conservancy where the Namibian government, through the Ministry of Environment, is actually helping to bring back the ownerships and benefit to the rural communities. But our own success story has brought us some problem. Honorable Governor, our own success, too much of good thing is always a problem. Eh? If you eat a lot of sweet, it gives you problems. Your teeth will go. I don't know what we need to do here. So to the point that communities are now, we are facing problems. But who causes these problems? It's ourselves. We have to find a way to deal with it. And this poor elephant, you know what they do? They just make a hole in the house and stick the rifles out and shoot it from the house. That's what happened here. Between the holy fire and the crow, the elephant is dead. This one is also an indication of living with wild animals. This is what I said, sensitive pictures, but these are the reality on the ground. We are having issues. If I say we, I'm now converted now. I'm not making those statements I was making now. I'm now converted. I'm talking like now Kolka. So we now have to find ways, because these resources is the one that we are using to attract tourism, to basically create employment, and to make Namibia the destination, also to make Namibia a better place than Zambia, for that matter. And Zim, where they claim to have started with CPNRM, oh, my brother, we are running ahead of you. And what is happening here is that it's not that the guy was attacked by lions while the others were sleeping. This lion that happened to attack this brother here was the uncollared lions. The rangers were patrolling on the other side just to realize that somebody has been attacked the previous night by the lions. Basically, the lion went in a crawl, and the wife, when they heard, you see sometimes us men, when the wife heard that something is in the crawl, she went out at night. She went out at night, and then they realized there's a lion. She turned back, and when she was turning back, she fell. And then the man also wanted to come in now and help the wife. That is where he got attacked. Because the wife now, the lion was looking for this person that was moving around, and they just saw the man, and it went for the guy. So it's not that human beings are being attacked. Lions, elephants are also paying a price when they trespass certain area. But it's a given. If it is found in gardens, community are shooting it down. And ministry have also leeways assessing these incidents. And if it is proven beyond reasonable doubt that the elephant was not just shot for the sake of shooting, it was endangering the lives of those residents, then it's a given. But then the rifle need to be checked because people will shoot an elephant, but they are using that rifle to shoot other species. Lion conflicts all over the whole country. I think you guys are safe. The whole northern part of this country, and to some extent, Erongo, Honorable Governor, Erongo, they are also lions. It's a big issue. But I can tell you a story. In Anapep, 2023, there was a female lions that gave birth to 3 cubs just behind the garden. And the mother was shot by unknown individuals. And the ranger, the next day, they just found the cubs just running around, 3 of them. They captured them, and they thought, I think Titus was the chairperson, what are we going to do with these cubs? One guy saying, oh, just kill them. The other one said, no. This is rude, it's inhumane. So what the conservancy did, they went, bought food for the lions, goats, and they fed these small cubs, and they called the ministry, the Ucho office, Andri, come and take these lions to a safe place. And the ministry responded, and these lions were the small cubs were translocated to a small, safe place. So this just shows that the level of acceptance and tolerance among communities, because they have seen the value, even though that these lions are causing troubles, the value of saving the same species is so enormous rather than just killing it and shortening their lives. So this graph just shows the human-wildlife conflict trends for the past 5 years. For the past 5 years, we don't need to go through them, fast track them. Those are damages to crops. If you want to, you can have my presentation and study it yourself, but that we have the data there to look at this year, how many losses did community suffer in terms of crops, production as a result of elephants, and so forth. Forward. Neme, forward. So, but what are we doing? What is happening with conservation authority, conservation agency, community conservancies, and anybody that would associate themselves with conservancies? That people are looking at different mitigation measures. One of them is predator-proof crawls. And through various donor funding, a lot of community families have been provided with predator-proof crawls. What it does at night, it looks dark inside, and the understanding is that a lion will never jump into something where he doesn't know where it's going to land. But the lion have outsmarted these things. I don't know whether they come during the day to check what is inside or what is the story, but they outsmarted it. They're just jumping at night and do whatever they want to do. But this is another way that we are really also trying to keep these animals away. Next. The same. We have these crawls in some basic regions, also effective. The lion cannot move inside, but they also need to put some other dark shade net around it to make it darker at night. But as I said, these are clever animals. So most of the lions, Kenneth was talking about the lions distribution in the Northwest. So what the authorities and the conservancy are doing to handle or to contain the conflict, and at least to have an idea where these animals are moving, is by collaring them. You collar the main leader in the groups, and by doing that, you monitor the movement. And also, if it come closer to the villages, the conservancy, game guard, lion rangers, rhino rangers, all these guys are ready like emergency personnel. And whenever the signals is sent to the receiver, the alarm is sent to various rangers' cell phone, they would go in and move the animals away, further away from the villages. And it's not 100%, but through that, we managed to save a lot of lives. We managed to save a lot of livestock from being eaten by lions. Next. Also with elephants, we're also looking at collaring them. A number of them has been collared around the countries, and these are also used as a way of monitoring the movements so that you can alert the farmers to be at the garden and chase these animals away. But I was in Zambia at Rocha area last year. Was it last year or beginning of this year? I can't remember. I'm getting old. Elephant in Victoria, Livingstone. I always call that place Victoria. Elephants, they were in a village, in a town. You cannot walk. If you walk there, you really have to do like this. And that thing at night, you cannot see it. When I come back, I was shocked. I was telling the people, guys, what we are having here is not a problem. Those guys up there, Zambia and Zim, those guys are having real problems. Elephants are in town. And I think this is what we are starting to experience now in Korihas. Elephants are coming as far as Korihas has come. Opuo is the next destination. I don't want to talk about Katima, all those areas. So, and the only way is really to create awareness, collar them, and find a way to move these animals in a more structured way. They must also be taught not to go to certain area. And yeah, I don't know how we do that. We really need to look at Hosape. We need to have a scientist. Nyambe Nyambe, can you find somebody to start studying elephant or animal languages? Why not? We are going to the moon. Huh? Why can't we study what we have and be innovative and be the leader in finding what the world has not found out? Next. Elephant Walk is also another initiative, awareness raising. Next. These are the rangers, these are the peoples that are running around day and nights. And often they don't carry ammunition. They don't have firearms. Honorable Governor, these guys don't carry firearms. Their firearms is here. They've been trained how to handle these animals. They've been trained how to protect themselves. They've been also trained how to react and also sense and understand that very big animals' behavior. And they will always find a way to either dive their side or go that side. These are daughter and son of our own communities that we see around in all these conservancy. Sometimes we forgot to say thank you, guys. Thank you for doing what you are doing. Now what they are getting, they are just being blamed. You guys, you are the reason why we are losing our crops. You are the reason why you are losing our livestock. Thank them. We heard it from the ministry. At least let's say thank you. Next, the same motorbikes are used as tools to get rangers to the site where there are problem animals. Next, we are also using, I don't know, my friend, Ruben was talking about wildlife products. We have a problem here, and we need some clearance from Kolka. We started using elephant dungs as we call it a nice word, elephant candle. What is happening there, we are mixing chili with elephant dungs and build what you see there. And then at night we light it. It goes throughout the whole night until the next day. Because elephant doesn't want to smell that chili smell. It disturbs the smelling systems. So is that a product that we need to get permit for or not? But it's used to deter elephants, to keep elephant away. This is one of the things that that the rangers are using. Next, those are also these things that we are using for Christmas. Sometimes are very useful tools to chase elephant, to scare elephant away. And this is the thing that we are practicing also in the field, West Conservancies. Chasing, literally using the police lights to move elephant out of the gardens. These are the work, these are very dangerous work that the game guards and the rangers are really exposed to. But these people are very dedicated to do for their jobs. Next, what we want to achieve by doing all this, protect wildlife, because this is what we decided to do, to have wildlife alongside our livestock, to supplement and complement our livelihood activities. It's an added value to our existing livelihoods, even though that it comes with challenges, sometimes life-threatening challenges. But if you look at the other side, it put food on the table of some of those communities that are benefiting from conservations. Next, once you protect, communities are able to grow crops. This is in Bombata National Park. Next, you see a happy face from the Kalamashan Association women. This is a backyard gardens that need constant protections to ensure that the family at least have something to eat. And it is done on a regular basis by the ranger. Next, we have problems. As much as we are doing all this, I hope I'm still in time. No? You also must see as a chief talking now. So we have time, we have problems. We have problems in this country is that, I don't know, I wanted to hear from Kolka and Bennett. We had people that basically did not want to see anything like cattle and all those things. All they want to see is wildlife. These are the anti-conservation community. You know what I'm talking about? Those guys that would despise CBNRM and with this and that. Just looking at wildlife as the only thing that need to be protected, ignoring livestock. Forgetting that the very people that are living with wildlife, their main livelihood is livestock, crops, and any other things. Wildlife is an added things to complement and supplement and improve their livelihoods. So these things should be looked as one. Integrations, coexistence. Of course, coexistence has issues, but that is the desired status is to have a smooth coexistence. Next. Time is up. I'm done. Those are the future consistencies where we have a sustainable human wildlife mitigations framework as a country, as a leading country in CPNRM, where a lion should actually know I should not cross that river, then I'm in other territory, the same as elephant, and the same as human being as well. Next, this is coexistence. Next, my recommendations. This is the last now. You see, you made a problem to give me the last one to speak. So, Namibia, we are known. Sometimes I feel so ashamed when you're at international event. They say, "Where are you from?" Namibia. Wow. Yes, you are doing wonderful work. And then sometimes you scratch your head. Yeah, you are doing wonderful work. So I think, but at home, we have our own issues. Human wildlife conflict is a burning issue in this country. Politicians, when community are complaining, the councillor want to, hey, John, with your elephant, Kolka, Bennett, come and take your elephant away. So my proposal is the mere fact that people have accepted to live with wildlife, that should be seen as a way of acceptance, and they must be recognized. So almost like there must be a reward system given to those, almost all the conservancy in this country. It should not be based on anything, Kolka. It should not be based on anything. I think one day when you have a lot of money in the Game Product Trust Fund, you must give almost every conservancy every year 1 million. This is just as a recognition for living with wildlife. People in town, you know what? People in Wenduk here, they are chasing kutus. They don't want kutus here. But yet us, I'm also from Windhoek, I'm divided. But yet us meaning the conservancy, you see a lion, say, you just take another road and do other things. I want to see a group of elephants entering Independence Avenue without being harassed by the police or by anyone. So the next recommendation is that we should also look at in amending the human wildlife policy to include other issues that are not currently covered under that policies. That is properties, fences, water tanks. Sometimes a kutu will kill a goat at the water point, is also not covered. An elephant will push a cattle, is not covered. All those things that are not covered. Snakes bites. Yeah? Life. Okay, all those things need to be included as soon as possible, because we can no longer live the way we are. We are losing out, and people are being impoverished by these things. So, Regional Council, I hope the council are not here, but I'm now talking to the head of the owner of the regions, the governors. Regional Council actually also should also come on board and support with human wildlife conflict. Honorable Governor, avail vehicles. There's no drought release food to move food around. The only thing that is now there is to protect community gardens. These vehicles must be availed across all these regions in the conservancy where community are planting to help move the animal away. Because the minister said wildlife is a national program. It's not the Ministry of Environment side event. It's a national program for the whole country. Conservancy to be granted the right to manage problem animals. Oh, I like this one. Manage problem animals, and also, Masashikopo, declare and destroy, sell, or whatever you want to do with it. This is a real devolution of power that I was talking about to the communities. It's in a bill. Good. Yeah. No, I like the bill. So the offset should actually be 80%. You see, if I become a president, I will change these things overnight. 80% of the market value. 80% people are losing bulls that cost 100,000. The offset cost should actually come closer to that. And with that, I was also considering to say, why is this offset thing a Ministry of Environment a side hustle event? While they're doing this for the whole country, why don't it become a national thing where Parliament can set aside budgets and people are properly and very well. I know you will say, yeah, bankrupt. No, people are being bankrupt by these human wildlife incidents. So make it a national event where fund appropriations are being dedicated to cater, because I know all the governors are having problems because the residents are complaining. Make it the way we have now with the social grants and pension and all those type of things. Make it a national thing. Lastly, honorary conservator rights to the community game guard, the rangers, because these people are at the front line of incidents, events. When they are there, they don't have to wait for anyone to come, for Mupao to come. They must just do all the necessary site investigations. Also, now back to us, chiefs as well. We should also do away with encroaching on corridors, wildlife habitats, and all those things. Because these are our banks that we are saving for the future, and also that we want to trade into cash by bringing new tourism venture there. I think with these few remarks, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kasauna. It's difficult to stop a Himba in terms of time management. So can we have the lights on, please? It's dark. So so those were the three last presentations, and I'm going to allow for, yeah, thank you. I'm going to allow now for questions and clarity and recommendations. We have an activity coming up, so I want us to be really conscious of time as we are going through this. So let me start by seeing in the whole hall first, who wants to ask a question or make a deliberation? This is just sensing, because, and then I can see from time management how I'm going to deal with it. The whole can see, It's not a lot of people. Can we stick to that? Yeah? Can we stick to that? Okay, thank you. So I will start with the middle here. The middle part. Where's the, yeah, good. Can we give it to that gentleman? He was first up. I think he has a burning question. The one in the middle there. Yeah.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm sitting with the park things that I want also to be answered, because I was told yesterday, let's park it, but I don't want to talk about the park thing, but I will wait. Maybe we'll raise or the park things.
Do you want me to?
You said yesterday
there is park things. We are coming to the park things.
Yeah,
I want you just to ask your question, Gershon, please.
Yes,
Your time is up before you started.
Now I want to talk about the plants.
Okay.
In our area where I live or where I have been born, we have Adenia peculiaris in the massive size. This is maybe my third time that I want to raise this. We only hear that the ministry says these plants must be protected. I'm against it to say on this way. We can protect it. We protect these plants since we were born. Our parents, our people has protect this plant. And it's in the massive or in many ways. We want these plants so that our communities can be given a right or something so that we can make a traditional museum at the area where they are. We don't want to pick, we don't want to sell it, we don't want to take it. We just want this area to add a value on it and sell as a traditional museum to the tourist. I wrote a letter to the ministry, Master Churo, NNF, and these people 2 years ago. But until now, I have no answer. And then on the mining, I want to say this. We have been led by COVID. And there are areas that conservancies are not trading tourism. And our area is one of the area with the natural resources like whatever you call it, Kupa, whatever you call it. Now I want to ask the ministry, is it possible that the conservancies can buy, what is these things, EBLs under their name? Because sometimes we sit with the money as the conservancies and we know the areas that are not being used by the tourism activities, so that we can have this EBL as the conservancies, how could I say, I don't know how to say, as a property, as for the conservancies, and tell the investors if they come in, we the conservancies have this as our investment or something like that so that they can, okay.
We got you.
There is a good word.
Mm,
Yeah,
got you.
for good of legwork, so that we can get more funds for our local communities because we are with these mineral resources that is underground.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm. There was just one hand here, so okay, those two. No, that's the thing. There was just these two here. Just these two here. I remember I was watching. Eagle eye. Mm.
Yes, my name is Ben Kapi
Mm.
from Vita Warehouse. It's a TA. So for me, it's my first time to be in this ministry meetings. We are always left out. But when the wildlife came to the people, they came to the transitional authority. But on your planning, on your meeting, we are not there. So from that to today is the first time. But I want to remind you, through our governors, that the meeting to the region should come as soon as possible so that we can be a part and parcel of this meeting. And I want also to remind you that the TAs, the farmers unions, is also one of the stakeholders. So we are left out, and our things, the wildlife is for us. People, gardens is also belong to us. So we have to come together and talk and get the way forward. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Absalom Indongo, Vice Chairperson of Okwarudi Conservancy. I just want to understand one thing here, since yesterday anyway. It's regarding with human wildlife conflict. If you happen to make a research around Okwarudi Conservancy, for example, just a typical example, there's a lot of predators. And there are farmers there, a lot of them, but then I just wanted at least to know the meaning of the word coexistence. Now, these predators, they are roaming around, they are not in a core area. Now my question is, what is the plan for the ministry perhaps? Because these predators, they don't have food. We don't have food outside the core area there. The only food for these predators is livestock for farmers. Does it mean that these predators, they must depend on the livestock for farmers, or what? What is the way forward there around there, research-wise? The other thing that I want to put...
Absalom, you are just allowed one.
for one.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just the same, eh? It's just a follow-up. The other one is
I believe you here.
yeah, a way back when I was a chairperson of
Mm.
Ukwarudi, we wrote a letter to the line ministry, Minister of the Environment, by then that Shveta, requesting to register a community forest.
Okay.
Long time.
Mm.
Now my blames, I just want to put my blame maybe toward the line ministry that the chain to request something is too long. Since 2015 or somewhere there, we request a forest community, but up to the date, no approval. Where's the problem?
Mm.
Thank you.
We got that. I'll move over here. Because here there were very few people. Let me go here. Let's go here. Can we? Richard? No, only for Richard. Richard is from the ministry. We want to hear the voices first outside. Can I also do this? I really want to give people that have not spoken. Can I give people that have not said anything? Okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Mine is on quota awarding to the community.
Can you put the mic here so that we can hear you? Yes.
Okay. Mine is on awarding of quotas. So the question comes, is it the emerging conservancy can be awarded with quota while it's not registered?
Are you not at quotas? Are you at quotas?
Quota hunting.
We moved. Who? He was talking about environmental crime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, why I ask this question, because if the quota is being awarded to an emerging conservancy, which does not gazetted by the ministry,
okay,
is it in law or unlawful? That is what I wanted to get a clarity. Secondly, the proposed regional meeting, which was mentioned by one of our governor there. So this needs to be conducted in the whole region to sort out issues regarding the hunting pending issues and tourism concession. Can it be also extended to Kavango region? Since we are sitting with a lot of problems and we are limited time, we did not get time to speak. So we might then speak there once the people
for all the
ask.
regions.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. For all the regions, that's what you are proposing, ne? Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, I want to give to people that have not said anything. Okay, I know, Titus, I cut you off last time, so you have the floor now.
Okay, thank you this time. Yeah, my name is Titus Rungondo, ANAPEP chairperson. I just wanted to say something about, or either a question about the firewood. Because take, for example, from Marine Flus to Uis, that area is a desert. It even is known to its species who's living there. That is the place where we found the rhino, the black rhino, which is a desert rhino, a desert lion, and a desert elephant. We found it there in the whole of Namibia, if it is not the whole world. So, but for us who are living there, we don't know how we should be called. I'm looking for that status in this meeting. But besides that, I want to know really, because as I said, the area is a desert area, but there is these people who are who are tendering for the firewood to supply the firewood to the schools. Almost the whole of Kunene. People are supplying those wood from those areas, from our areas. I just want to know really who is giving these permits. Because lot of tons and tons of firewood is collected and supplies to the schools. And at the end of the day, one person is getting that money alone from the rural area. I just want to know who is giving these tenders.
Okay, we got it. We got your
Thank you
question.
very much.
Can we stick to the presentations? So because the questions that you are asking now is from the previous presenters. We moved away from wood long ago. Okay, I'm moving over here. Over here. They are there. They're there.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yes, I want to acknowledge the protocol that was already observed. The presence of our Honorable Minister, our councillors, our governors, our TAs, and our fellow colleagues in conservation. I just have a basic observation and recommendation I want to make. This presentation, and from the previous ones and from the yesterday's ones, I'm noticing that, and it's something that I fear actually, I'm noticing that youth engagement and capacity building is not being focused on entirely. Because we're talking about conservation and we're talking about today and tomorrow. Who is going to do the conservation tomorrow if we're not including the youth now? What I mean is, for example, I take Tate John. If he retires, that wealth of knowledge goes with him. But why don't we put programs or schemes to encourage youth to take part, to actively take part in conservation? For example, one of the, instead of saying, the youth are not interested in conservation, why don't you make it a requirement that if you're going to be gazetted as a conservancy or community forest, you should establish a youth committee to involve the youth. That's just one of my suggestions and observation, to involve the youth for tomorrow.
Thank you. It's really a good. It's a good recommendation. We also take it as a recommendation. Thank you. I think for so I had her and then the two governors, and then I will give it to because we are running really out of time. And a lot of people that are putting their hands up here have been really talking. They have repeat and repeat. No, I know. But there's also time that I need to manage.
Hi, my name is Shannon, and my question is directed to Mr. Kenneth. Kenneth, you spoke of the updated policy that is going to be rolled out now in May, I think you said, right? And I just want to know what measures are in place in the new policy to ensure that mining companies provide adequate financial guarantee for rehabilitation in the conservancies, so that communities are not left with post-mining rehabilitation issues. We know that rehabilitation costs a lot of money, and that's also one of the reasons why we have legacy waste and abandoned mines unrehabilitated. And if there is provision for it in the updated policy, I want to know what is an acceptable form of a financial guarantee. Would it be money? Would it be a bond or insurance? If it's money, how do you determine the cost for rehabilitation post mining? So just something I want to understand. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think I had one person at the back there. Yeah, if I can just have that hand, and then I will hand over to the governors from that side. Yeah, please, Chief. The thing is not on. The mic is not on. Hold it close. Yeah. Can we please?
Baja, I will be quick.
Very quick.
Yeah.
amipume utirembanu muno wando batit mosalanjiri meritoro komuniri osimbira makabiko ya utira konene yuri omundu achiwo china cha utukungura onguchiwo udhu no upupunguli mo program anjo no amchibase kama amchifaka sauna laki gubicho program anjo ya utu ya mi nangura sangwa hama ngwi muluminu hama ngwi engo machingo mangwanyi ngwi lo conservancy chuma putamuna lo conservancy nainu omundu ngauto lo conservancy umwengwi pioneer o mutu kuhorera o 95 ajito ako sambesi jito ako sambesi mukahongo andu asambesi namona mbino china chimu chimbina joji de uliri ma programa yetu njana mbyanje iri ni miango kiarisa konjuo munei mena uja kutwa hamamba o pomba pe ungururo beta itumwe okuchomina bichate nawo o program o CBRM manjinu community based and under yungulisi wanavi will you okay thank you it's my father that one okay do it okay do it okay program anjito utanjinu yariko kokoliwana na yungurura mwaje mwisana mbano pure people ovandumbo mingundi vaisa kongo bayuli as technical people like John Maxi
What is
ka one waro ngulimba o munungo natire ngo musupi na chikwa ka ngo musupi chikwa ngo director kahule ovandumbo mingundi vaisa kongo this is not your program community based ka program enuli vandu vaisa kongoto venda maveisiwa kongotwe amin jona ngwe na mimuchiwa ngwe ai amimechiwa kuja ngwa chihina kuisa vandu kongotwe marandu ya kongotwe maximina chariko ko pendukanu ano memuchiwa vandu vaisa kongotwe vandu ngekamuyeta pia nani
Gatutoroke nambano.
Martin talk.
Yeah. Chifa.
I think he translated most of the information. Just in brief,
yeah.
The people that are leading community-based natural resource programs, they are not the people that have initiated the program, and it's very difficult to understand that. I'm hearing someone whispering to me, Chief, that the program need to be closed. I think we'll take it up with the director and the DED further. Thank you.
Thank you. Gatumane, because we need to. John? Okay, thank you. I left the two governors out. Can we give them a chance? Can the mic come? And then afterwards we are done on the floor. I will ask then the presenters to respond. And then afterwards, then I will hand over for the closing.
Yeah, thank you very much, my sister.
Can we listen, please?
Thank you very much, my sister. Just a comment and a recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, last year when we were extinguishing fire, the Etosha fence
from Shikoto to Omsati was down. I think it was destroyed by elephant and others. I don't know whether there are activities taking place to that regard, because I strongly believe that has contributed to elephant that we are now, like my chief have said, the elephant that are now between the borders of Namibia and Angola, moving as far as to Anamlenge constituency in the middle of the region. So I think maybe if we can just that program that the Kambwa benefited, that of renovating the fence of Etosha, if it can just continue.
Yeah.
So on a recommendation, and I'm happy that my honorable minister, I'm making this recommendation when you are back, and my executive directors here, deputy executive directors here, is on the Etosha West. We have a gate, Naruvanda gate, if I'm not mistaken. It's a special request that I was sent by the region, if we can open that gate in our future. We will share, so don't worry, we will share the benefit of that gate. I want it to be part of the recommendation that for the benefit of tourism in Omsati region, and for those conservancies to benefit also from the product of tourism, can it be then our recommendation that we open that gate?
Is it there Naravandu?
Yes.
Okay.
Naravandu, ne?
Is it called Naravandu? Yeah.
Because it looks there are two gates, one close to Oshana, but then there is that one that which is straight to Omsati, passing through through your conservancy, Shiashu Shona conservancy, and then it runs to Okwarudi conservancy, going to Rakana waterfall. So let it be opened. Thank you very much. That was the only recommendation.
Thank you, Honorable Governor. My last interventions, Honorable.
Yes, thank you, Mixi. I actually did not lift my hand, but I assumed you are assuming I would not be quiet. So I will take
Honorable, this group is going to kill me alive.
as long as they don't skin you alive, it's fine. Oh, should I?
No, you go ahead.
Oh,
Is
okay,
there
very good.
something to?
Yes. There's always something. I want to speak to the first presenter. The presumption at law, or it is said that ignorance to the law is not a defense. Now we have put up a number of protected plant species for which environmental crimes can be committed. But I think let's be fair. Let's be fair to the people that we represent, that you serve. Do our people really have the knowledge of the protected status of these plants? Or do we just subject them to crime because we went to school and therefore they should know? So extensive information sharing, dissemination should happen, because behaviors are changed by information. I want to move on. When we do EIAs, community and stakeholder engagements are part of that. Now, from a policy perspective and from an objective onlooker, and I was just saying this morning to Tristan, that as a governor of Kunene region, and I suppose any other representative of the people, our default position is that people must coexist. Entities must coexist. Institutions must coexist as far as practicable. Indeed, who said yes? My brother there said that Kunene region is one of those regions where conservancies, conservation, and mining clash a lot. Now, as government, the default position would always be that these living resources and non-living resources should coexist and benefit Namibians equally. Unless, of course, Article 95 is offended by the practices of one or the other. Now, the question that I have to that regard is this. When a people's park is declared, when a protected area is declared, to what extent is or are there consultations between the two industries? I'll be frank and upfront about why I'm asking that question. Because to the objective onlooker, it appears that the conservationist assumes that you should understand my interests, you should understand the position where I'm operating from, and therefore that position should be accepted as the right position. That's how all the rest of the industries is made to feel, or at least to understand. So I suggest that even the Ministry of Environment should be subjected to ensuring that those consultations occur, in as much as we expect other industries to do EIAs. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. I don't think there's any industry that, I know I'm committing treason in this meeting to say that, but no industry is holier than the other. If we expect others to respect the will of people, to take on board the opinion of people, then this very industry and conservationists should be the first and lead by example. I want to move on to wildlife and human-wildlife conflict. Life. The value of life, of a person's life, is unknown. Cannot be tallied, cannot be quantified. Now that is the reason that is advanced in our policies to say that if a human being is mauled or killed or injured by an animal, we are not in a position therefore to quantify the quantum of compensation, reparation, or whatever term is politically correct. I think from a policy perspective and from a representation perspective of our people, I think it is a wrong approach. And we should look into that. Where do we locate the best examples? It is the MVA. The MVA, its act, or Motor Vehicle Accident Fund Act, actually demonstrates on how a human being should be treated after a person has been injured by a vehicle, which is part of their mandate. If one takes that as a base, or a case study, or a best practice, or a benchmark of how to treat or compensate a person once injured by a wild animal, we are going to create a lot of peace with our people. Next year, I want to finalize with these two things. Speed. Yes, as politicians, that's what we say. In conclusion, finally, and I'm finishing with this. Speed. I am lucky to say, unlike my sister or my mother from Erongo, I have quite an effective team of people. Andre, Christopher, where are you? It's not around. Effective team of people that we coordinate quite often. But you hear that four of their cars are in a garage and cannot come out. They are waiting for a submission for 3-4 months. Submission is not coming. Authority for the cars to be repaired is not out. And it's true.